A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for taking the time out today to join us on this very interesting Ideathon that we're hosting. And I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping rules. So everybody's audio, video, and chat options have been disabled by default. We encourage you to engage with both the panelists and the startups today through the Q&A option on Zoom. In case you have any trouble with audio, we request you to please disconnect and rejoin. And if you would like to share this link with other people and they're having trouble joining us, we are also hosting this session live on YouTube via the Quint channel. I'd like to now hand over to Ms. Parvati Ramanathan. She will be taking over from here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this very interesting format, an ideathon on the topic of digital finance. So Sattva is taking on the digital finance or financial inclusion track for Chacha 2020. And this is the third of 5 events that we're hosting on this topic. I hope you're able to join some of the others as well. We truly believe that solving for some of the financial inclusion problems, access, those topics for MSMEs, for our most vulnerable communities, is going to be really critical for us to be able to emerge, successfully out of COVID-19. And so we're really glad to have your attention here for this very important topic. With this particular format, what we've done is we actually have 3 very esteemed experts in the impact investment and financial inclusion space. We have Sushma Kaushik from Avishkar, we have Amitesh Sinha, and we have Abhishant Pant. And we're really excited to have them all on board. And their role today is going to be that of a panelist, of an expert in the topic of financial inclusion, right? And what we also, the teams that we also have on board are 5 innovators. We have Frontier Markets, Agois, Sama, Finance Card, and Lakshya. These are all organizations at various stages of their startup journey. And the goal today is to be able to, have this conversation where you as an audience participant are able to understand the journey of these organizations and where they are on the path to solving for financial inclusion. What we're also hoping is that each of the panelists is able to essentially pay it forward and share their insights and expertise. And we also want to make sure that the organizations that are pitching today are able to get some input, some feedback that will take them to the next level, right? So we're really excited for the session, and the format and the sequence here is as I've listed here. We'll start off with Sushma giving us a little bit of an expert take on the topic of impact investing and opportunities in the post-COVID scenario. After that, we'll have a couple of teams, pitch their current solution models for us for about 5 minutes. And we'll take 10 minutes for Q&A from these teams to the panelists and, taking feedback from the panelists on these organizations. We'd love for the audience also to participate. So if you have any questions for either our experts or for the organizations as they're presenting, please do use the Q&A, part of the Zoom, app and towards the bottom. And when you do that, we'll make sure to raise those questions as well, right? I'm personally very excited for this topic. I've, in my background, I've worked in the space of financial services and financial products at organizations like CME and S&P. And I'm really excited to see how this now translates and what are we seeing in the Indian context, in the development sector context, and particularly in the post-COVID-19 context, right? So over to you, Sushma, and really excited to have this great team of organizations and panelists on board for today.
Thanks so much, Parvati, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on this panel. When I first read the topic, which is Everybody Counts, Innovations in Financial Inclusion, I was quite excited because, now more than ever is the time to focus on financial inclusion. Because as they say, I believe the stars have aligned for the next version of financial inclusion to take off. Financial inclusion has been around for multiple decades in our country, and started off with, self-help groups and social sectors playing a role in that space. And very soon, we saw government involvement with changes in, regulation, opening up for privatization, which meant banks and NBFCs playing a role in financial inclusion. And then again, government seeing the participation and engagement and the difference it made in terms of bringing the financially included into the banking gamut, kind of gave it a further boost. And in the last decade alone, they have seen significant strides in terms of the kind of infrastructure development. When I say infrastructure, I mean the financial infrastructure development that has gone to empower financial inclusion further. And I think one of the tipping points has been the development of the JAM Trinity, which is the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and Mobility Trinity. And for this to have worked, there have been, again, wheels behind wheels that have worked very well. Clearly, one is the onset of Jio and the huge difference that made to a country like ours, which I believe is a game changer. And, some of the drivers for investors like us that makes it very important to look at this sector is one, India boasts of a tele-density of almost 90%, with urban tele-density being slightly more than the rural tele-density. So that is definitely one metric we look at when we look at financial inclusion. The other important metric is about 500 million people in our country today use internet. And that's not just the important part. What's more important is it's equally distributed between rural and urban consumers. So almost 50% are rural and 50% are urban consumers of internet, which is really a great equalizer. Third important factor is smartphone penetration has really picked up, and statistics shows that almost 500, we've crossed the 500 million mark in December 2019, and it's only increasing, right? And based on these trends, clearly financial services and fintech has been the darling of the investor segment. And there's been a jump in investment activities. Last year alone, we saw close to $11 billion of investment flow across 830 companies. And of the 830, close 2.3 billion went into startups alone. And even fintech, when we speak of fintech and innovations in financial services, India has not been very far behind. India nearly doubled its investment absorption in fintech opportunities. It went up from 2 billion to almost 3.7 billion from 2018 to 2019. And it's more, when the numbers come for this year, we'll see that it had gone up. And India is only the third largest fintech center after the US and the UK. So clearly, I think all of these things have worked beautifully for the sector, and more so for financial inclusion, because as I said, what does this data mean when we talk of internet penetration, smartphone penetration, access to information? It means that the information asymmetry that was existing 5-10 years ago is now rapidly disappearing. And so the aspirational pyramid is flattening. It's no more a pyramid. So what the rich have and want is what even the not so rich or the have-nots they also aspire for similar things. The unfortunate part is, while this is happening, the wealth pyramid continues to be pyramid, which is a broad base and a pointy end, right? So now with this COVID scenario that has set in, we're really worried that the base will only become bigger, because there is enough evidence that shows that with one healthcare fiasco in a family, it can push that family into generations of poverty, right? So multiple generations will go into poverty, and that means that the base of the pyramid is only going to get wider. And so I think now more than ever is the time for all stakeholders, whether it's the social sector, the government, the private sector, investors, impact investors, private investors, everyone play their role in ensuring that this does not happen. Because if this happens, it is detrimental to all of us. It's not just to that one segment, because it's as more and more people evolve up the pyramid, that's when you see the economy growing, you see consumption picking up, you see production picking up, and then it starts a virtuous cycle. And so I think right now, we should ensure that this does not happen. I'm an eternal optimist, and I do see that the COVID scenario has some silver lining. I don't know how far that will pan out, but some of the silver linings are, so normally technology adoption takes about a generation to pick up, right? So there's a critical mass that happens only upon consistent usage. Thankfully, with the onset of COVID, people are very quickly adapting, right? So age is not a barrier, wealth is not a barrier. People are now forced to evaluate technology adoption much quicker than what they would have in a general scheme of things, right? So all the billions of dollars that all the tech companies were trying to pump in to just change consumer behavior patterns will probably happen just because of one pandemic that has set in. And what will this do? This will kind of change the entire landscape of the way services have been offered specifically to the financial inclusion segment. And so we are quite, optimistic about the outcomes of COVID if we are able to overcome the short-term pain that we are seeing. Of course, the government is doing its bit in, providing all the SOPs, and hopefully people will figure out what those SOPs mean to everybody. But it's definitely exciting times, and I'm very excited to hear and would like to know what the innovators are working on in their respective fields. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing those insights, Sushma. I do want to remind that if anybody would like to ask any questions, please feel free at any point to use the Q&A. Sushma, I think the pyramid framework that you used and the eternal optimism that was coming through in your message really resonated with me. And I'm really glad to start on that note for today. I think that's absolutely the right approach with which all of us are taking on, all of us on this panel are taking on this challenge. So with that, I believe we're starting with Ajayta's Frontier Markets. Is that right? Yeah, absolutely. Super. So we are at about 3:13. Ajayta, would you like to, if you can just enable her presentation, it'd be great to. And I'll also very quickly check in and see if we have any questions that have been asked. I don't see any so far, but maybe they'll come in later. Ajayta, if you'd like to talk a little bit about your organization. As I said, let's see if we can take about 5 minutes for the presentation and about 10 minutes for the Q&A. That'd be great. Okay, super.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Ajayta Shah, and I'm the founder CEO of Frontier Markets. Frontier Markets is a company based in Rajasthan that drives access to quality products and services to rural customers in India.
Ajayta, do you have control of the deck, or is someone else?
Yeah, yeah, it's coming through. Sorry. There we go. Frontier Markets addresses access and income gaps in deep rural villages or Bharat, India. Today, 165 million people or households do not have access to high quality products and services where they actually live. 51% of this population, rural women, also lack long-term sustainable income opportunities, preventing them from changing this. We've addressed this challenge with a market-driven, customer-centric lens. Our solution has been a hybrid online-offline platform. In partnership with local NGOs, we leverage existing rural infrastructure, namely self-help groups and branch offices, to convert them into local supply chains, identifying rural women SHG members to become our Saral Jeevan Sahelis, or digitally savvy sales force who get access to products and services through branches and delivery men. We invest in digitizing the entire value chain, from branch to end customer, with our own proprietary technology and assisted e-commerce platform used for data collection,
marketing, and sales fulfillment. Leveraging our customer insights and direct-to-consumer access, we partner with leading Indian companies to deliver and curated products in areas including clean energy, appliances, smartphones, telecom, internet services, digital financial services, FMCG to support all kinds of rural customer needs. To date, we have presence in 4 states, Rajasthan, UP, Bihar, and Orissa, serving 700,000 rural households with a digitally savvy fleet of 4,000 Sahelis and 125 employees. We've also been able to deliver over 870,000 solutions profitably for the last 3 years. Our greatest innovation is our technology. Developed in 2018 in partnership with our Sahelis, they've been instrumental in designing every element of the e-commerce app that you're seeing. From determining their workflow management to how each screen should be showcased, to what data they want to enter, to what business information they want from us. Sahelis can use the app for customer lead generation, data, facilitation of orders, coordinate deliveries, process service issues, and track their customers at work. The app is designed to push information as well as pull information to manage real-time activities, building a customer base for the Saheli, but also building a work credibility and a business credibility for her to move forward. This is additionally supported through Frontier Markets' delivery app, which is used by our field staff for real-time dispatch, delivery, sales tracking, and inventory management, ensuring that every product is coded, signed for, and fulfilled, which all then culminates into our backend system for real-time data capturing. This is managed by our call center, branch managers, and data analytics team to ensure efficient processes, collect insights on customers, and drive direct-to-consumer engagement. Today, we collect over 25 variables to predict consumer demand through IVR, this app, and direct-to-consumer engagement through our Sahelis. Now, on March 23rd, when lockdown was announced, Frontier Markets doubled down on digitization. We leveraged our infrastructure to access 2,000 villages to understand what the challenges were. We knew the gaps were about essential goods delivery, income losses, gender equality challenges, and access to banking facilities. We quickly pivoted our focus from consumer durables to driving essential goods delivery, increasing the number of Sahelis in our villages to optimize access and increase employment, invest directly into direct-to-consumer digital tools to support remote management, and introduce doorstep banking services. We've built a direct-to-consumer interactive web catalog, allowing rural customers to directly provide feedback and place orders for essential goods that are delivered via the Saheli. These orders are connected to our backend system, and local Sahelis are able to follow up. What this does is it allows both the Sahelis and Frontier Markets to manage demand faster, as well as access insights to develop a more robust engagement program to support the Saheli. Since she can't travel everywhere in her village, this supports her ability to manage customer engagement remotely. And in response to, one second, this is not moving. There we go. In response to banking challenges, we partnered with Echo India Financial Services to introduce doorstep banking facilities. So basically now customers can access their Jan Dhan Yojana bank accounts at their doorstep. We're acting as an ATM. Through integrated APIs, Frontier Markets can treat cash withdrawal, cash digitization as another product on our platform, allowing customers to bridge their Aadhaar challenges, also prepare them for future cashless transactions for anything and everything that they buy with Frontier Markets. And in the last 21 days, we've already been able to see some significant success. We have already had 2,000 new Sahelis onboarded virtually through virtual training management systems. 10,000 customers have already started using the app to place direct orders. We partnered with FMG companies like HUL, Marico, Colgate, and others to launch over 140 new SKUs. And we've launched a weekly delivery model in the village, completing over 15,000 deliveries, adding 1,000 new deliveries, and ensuring that every customer that placed an order last week orders again with us. 13,000 customers have already opted in for digital banking services.
So Ajit, I just want to let you know, you've hit the 5-minute mark. Any additional time will cut into your Q&A time.
Sure. Yeah. Frontier Markets' strength centers around its business model, processes, and technology, and our experience in understanding the rural customer. We successfully worked directly with NGOs and SAGs to develop a package service and now believe that deeper shift in digital will enable us to scale in a different way. We can now work with the State Rural Livelihood Mission to access SAGs and existing staff to onboard, train, and manage a much larger network, which we see is a massive replicable opportunity. We're also doubling down on further investments in technology, adding features for direct-to-consumer engagement on our app, but also adding more financial services through our platform in partnership with fintech companies, and investing in data science and AI to create predictable patterns and insights to develop deep consumer understandings that can be further delivered to our product companies to help innovate their product basket, and invest in digital training tools to onboard people offline a lot faster. I appreciate what you said, Sushma, because I agree. I think that there's such a different level of adoption for technology, and there's a unique opportunity for us to now double down on that training and make that work. So keeping that in mind, the questions that I had for the panelists was around looking at this on a COVID lens, regular lens, and an innovation lens. Knowing our deep digital and rural connect, what other products and services do you think would provide value for our rural customers in those three segments, but also how do you see partnership models evolving or innovating, leveraging our kind of platform? Thank you so much for your time.
Ajita, is there any one panelist you'd like to direct either of these questions to, or?
I think I would be open because I think everyone comes with their specific expertise.
Yeah. Super. Sushma, Amitesh, Abhishek, were you able to catch the question? Would you like it repeated?
Those questions are fairly well illustrated. If nobody essentially is going, so then I'll take a few of the questions and then. So first and foremost, Ajita, good to see this progress. I think I met with some of your colleagues last year in August in Delhi, and since then it is good to see this movement. Second, specifically from the point of view of COVID, when I was looking at it, I could not find a proposition wherein you could have connected with, say, an insurance player who is offering a COVID-related product. If you intend to do so, then from your segment and market point of view, there is an entity called Riskovery. They recently launched an insurance product for almost 600 million users of RuPay cards. So anyone who is a RuPay card holder can actually opt in for a Riskovery insurance product, which is a beautiful API integration on top of insurance players' insurance value proposition. So if you appreciate the effect of API in a box framework, then it's an insurtech which provides that, so it can ride on top of your value chain and can be offered. They work with a lot of institutions which are in the BC or rural e-commerce value chain. So they may be in a position to add value to your value chain in that. So that's first piece. Second, essentially, at this point of time, any business which essentially satisfies four things is what you possibly may want to look at from a tie-up point of view. First is a business which can be, which is digital in nature. It can be delivered digitally, it can be consumed digitally, and it can be purchased digitally, and it has a need in market. If any business which essentially satisfies these as a condition, then you may want to look upon that from a working point of view. Another piece on that is essentially all those who are in the e-learning value chain. They are the ones who essentially have in last few weeks or so have found great acceptance. You may have a question that whether that has an applicability from a rural value chain point of view or not. We annually undertake a road journey in which we cover 11,000 kilometers of India every single year. And in that journey, we stay in around 20 odd villages every single year. And in that conversation, which was across the board, across villages, we found common was women accessing education tools for their kids online. So after WhatsApp, that was the biggest thing that we found. So from an education point of view, and if it is a colloquial, local language content created and delivered digitally, will possibly find an acceptance from your ecosystem point of view. So these are essentially two pieces. I won't take time of other panelists, and over to others.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that was great.
Thanks, Abhishek. Those are some really great points. I just want to follow up and add to what you say in terms of creating these digital platforms. And Ajita, I was astonished to see that you have added 2K micro entrepreneurs in past 28 days. That is a testament of powerfulness of a digital platform. So my two piece of advice, just adding up to what Abhishek said, is if you are able to create some sort of a stickiness with your Sahelis in terms of providing them a stability, and even Shushma mentioned that, you know, how some of these micro entrepreneurs need those stability in the adverse times. So if you're able to create that customer stickiness through online education platform and give them a way where they think that these digitally enabled learning, education, or the other needs they have, are going to add value in their overall scheme of micro entrepreneurship. And second, in your regular business opportunities, even with your end consumers who are basically, you know, doing that consumption of your cross-sell products, even with them, some sort of a subscription model. You know, I'm just bringing the topic of customer stickiness with your micro entrepreneurs and with your end consumers as well. I think that is where we are all looking into. We all talk about some of these online platforms, and they're able to survive with great stability, and even more now in the given situation is having that fixed revenue stream, and then they add up and build up on that particular base.
I think that's really interesting. Just one quick point around that is that when we started Essential Deliveries, we made it into a weekly delivery model. So now customers are wanting to opt into a monthly subscription so that whatever they've ordered that week, you know it's going to be a repeat. So it is an interesting thing to think through, but then designing good loyalty programs around the subscription itself. And also, you know, curious to know, and I guess this is a leading question for you, Shushma, looking at the different financial service products that are out there, right? How do we leverage our data and our understanding of our women to then start linking them more directly with some of these financial service stability products, right? That could possibly enhance them.
Sure. So in fact, one of the questions I had, and I do know you mentioned that you've tied up with SHGs and NGOs in reaching out to these women. But another last mile, robust delivery channel has always been the microfinance institutions.
Sure.
And microfinance institutions have, now that, you know, the microfinance loan is a plain vanilla loan product, but they are trying to innovate in introducing more advanced loan products, like maybe an MSME loan or a personal loan of sorts instead of just the group loan. So, you know, and access to credit to improve livelihoods is definitely something that can overlay beautifully onto your platform. And as Abhishek mentioned, insurance is a need of the hour for, especially women are very particular. And I think all these years, insurance has largely been a push product. But now with the awareness levels going up, more so in the health space, and with the emergence of new products in the pocket insurance product space, I think there's definitely a marriage of innovation, digital platforms, and product manufacturers who can come together to service this segment well.
I'll definitely follow up with you on that, because I think that's a really interesting thing. One last question, because I know I'm technically out of time, is
would it be possible to hold that or take that offline?
Okay, so I'm just going to say 3 words. Will digital reduce transaction costs as a value for MFIs? Just keep that in the back of our mind. Yeah? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you do have, Ajita, 5 or 6 Q&A questions that have come to you. What we do is share those with you afterwards if we're not able to address it here. But what's really exciting is that, you know, your innovation sort of driving thinking in the audience and driving, hopefully, outreach for you as well. So very excited to see that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.